Morning light through the window pane, coffee steaming, no rush, no lane. World's been shouting all night long. I pour a cup, let the silence talk. I didn't leave angry, didn't storm the door. I just stepped sideways away from the roar. Pull up a chair, let the clock unwind. This isn't breaking news, it's breaking the grind. They sell fear by the hour, package rage by the pound. Every screen's got an opinion, every voice trying to sound like they know what's coming, like they've cracked the code. But the loudest ones panic when you step off the road. I've seen cycles repeat, watch them rise, watch them fall. Empires shouting forever right before they stall. So I sip and I watch, let the headlines fight. Truth don't need a megaphone, it waits out the night. They want speed, they want fire, they want sides, they want lines, they want heroes and villains every damn time. But life ain't a headline, ain't red versus blue. It's quiet decisions people never review. Yeah, yeah, they want me. Loud? Nah, freedom's calm. It's knowing when to walk while the others all run. I'm not late to the party, I just left it early. Seen how it ends, same mess, same worry. Take a breath, let the cup cool down. The world will keep spinning without your sound. We'll be right here when the dust don't fly. Coffee on the table, morning in the sky. This is coffee time, live. No need to run. We'll talk again when the day's begun. Sunlight spills through the cafe door. Mic goes live like it's done before. 9 years deep in these mountain towns, we brew the truth, not just sit around. I came for a visit and stayed for the view, but the soul of this place, it just pulls you through. Mornings in Finlandia, nights in Salento. Life don't move fast, but man, it's full tempo. This ain't a pitch, it's real as it gets. From lost bags to love and bureaucratic regrets. No script here, just the sound of real lives told live every week under Colombian skies. It's coffee time lived from the heart of Quindío, where the screen fades out and the real stories flow from expats who landed and locals who guide. We laugh, we vent, we cry, we ride. It's not about views, it's about the vibe. Just raw conversation, live and alive. Got folks tuning in from every time zone, asking what's it like to make this place your own. It's mango trees, it's rent debates, it's finding peace past the clickbait gates. Some days we talk visas, some days we just breathe and sip dark roast while the valley grieves through mudslides, marches, markets, and mess. We show up with stories, no more, no less. It's coffee time lived, not just a name on a screen. It's 9 years of mornings and everything between. No hype, just heart and a decent brew. A place for the honest, the warm, the true. Not selling dreams, just sharing the ride from right here in Quindío, live. We belong, we build in mountain towns where the air stands still. So bring your mug, your doubts, your days. We'll light them up in soft cafe rays. It's not a podcast, it's a porch-like glow. It's home in a headline, a yes and a no. It's coffee time left. Come as you are from my table in Colombia to wherever you are. Good morning and welcome back to the channel, grancolombia, and welcome to another Coffee Time Live here in Armenia, Quindío, Colombia. Let me check something here. Yeah, it sounds good. All right, you should be getting sound. Everything should be good. I'm back for the second time in this new, what do we call it, broadcast platform. Yeah, I can speak. So it's still a little confusing for me. Olga, how are you? Good morning. Gwen, how do you say that? Gwen? Is it Gwen? Ted Lunn, Mr. B. Nick, how are you? Audio and video perfect, awesome. Upside of the Rumble, you know, me not so much, but the broadcast, if you think about it, since we switched to Rumble, it's been perfect every week. And think back when we used to do YouTube, I don't know it was ever like that. I mean, we'd get a few weeks here or there that were pretty trouble-free, but we all got paranoid, which is why some of longtime viewers chime in and say, audio's good, video's good, because back in the day, well, I never knew. It'd be here, it'd say it was going out perfect and people would be having problems. So today I think is going to be interesting. I put off for a few weeks. I'm not really going to talk about the election, but understand the election is this month, May 31st. And it's unlikely there'll be a clear winner over 50%. So there will be a runoff. And so the three people that matter this election, one I'm not going to talk about because he's basically running under the banner of Petro. We've just had 4 years of Petro. If you don't know what that's about, you don't really know. I don't know what else to say. We know what that is. But the other two, one of them for sure, probably every person in Colombia is very familiar with. And the other one, maybe not as much. But there's hardly an expat that's going to know about either one of them. And since currently the way the polls are running, it's likely that one of those two will become president. I've decided I'm not going to really talk about their politics, but I'm going to talk about their biography. Who are they? Where do they come from? What's their background? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So you get some idea. But of course, first, let's all celebrate. Yay! I think I had a thing here. Do I? Yeah, awesome. There's all kinds of things here, but there's one. Exchange rate. It's currently, I think it's 37.96 as of this morning, which is pretty awesome considering where it's been recently. And it looks like in the next few months, we'll probably get up around 4,200. Of course, it could go the exact opposite way. I mean, nobody knows for sure. It just kind of, the indications seem to be in that direction. So that's what I figured out. So I go in and I ask Anthropic, Claude, what's the exchange rate going to be in the next few months? And it says, well, if the election goes this way, it's probably going to be this, but most likely the election will go that way and it's going to be this. Well, what was this? About 4,200. I said, well, awesome. That's about where I came. So then I asked ChatGPT,
And ChatGPT gave a range of what it's been for the last month. Well, it's going to be 3,500 to 3,700. Based on what? Anyway, excuse me. They keep confirming that El Nino is going to hit. That means it's going to get warmer than usual. It's going to be drier than usual, not than when there's El Nino. It's going to be just like it is when there's El Nino, but that means warmer and drier. They're already putting out in the news. Remember with El Nino, watch your water usage. We never really have an issue here because there's so much water, but they're going to put it out there anyway. It's mostly be careful of burning things on the farm so we don't have a fire get out of control. Oh, man. My throat was great all week when I didn't have to talk. All right. So let's take a look at some headlines here. Then we'll go right to our topic. I think Cepeda is worse than Petro. He's smarter, more educated, and what's worrying me most is the fact that his family was living in Cuba under the protection of the Cuban regime. Yeah, he is kind of like a purer form of Petro, less baggage. Yeah, I would have to agree. The perdition for pesos I've seen is between 4,200 and 4,700. By the end of the year, I can believe that. You meant prediction. And he was studying in Sofia during times when Bulgaria was a part of the Soviet bloc. And Tommy, that's by the end of the year. Yeah, we're on the same page. That's the way I'm seeing it currently. But this changes. I mean, tomorrow something can occur that will affect it. But if things go in the direction that they're going now, it's great news if you're an expat. I'm not so sure there's Cuban intelligence operating anymore. But the balance could very well be. All right, so let's take a look at the headlines. Maybe. Come on, get up there. Here we go. Mobile Center for Homeless People in Armenia provides more than 1,000 services during pilot test. Okay, if you're not on your cell phone, you'll be able to see this picture. And what you'll see is 6 cops there shaking down one person who's standing in a pile of his stuff. Obviously, he's been camped out on the street there. And then a couple other people. Twice as many cops as people there. So what we have, if you think back on the news headlines I've covered, well, we'll say this year, or even at the end of last year, I've talked about a couple programs that have not been successful to try to get homeless people off the streets. The biggest one and the most well-funded one up until now has been, I got that chat running into my head. It's been the one where they got the college students to go out and on the streets and go from block by block, barrio by barrio, trying to entice homeless people to go to a certain location where they could get a bed and food and shower, and they couldn't get it. They couldn't get anybody to do it. And the program basically just withered on the vine. Money went back from where it came from. It was no good. And there's been a couple other attempts. Well, this one is different in that they're not really giving an option. They're seeing somebody laying on the street, sleeping on the street, dirty, obviously, one of those. And they'll shake them down for weapons first. and then they'll throw them in a truck and run them off to a location and have them shower and give them food and a place to sleep and offers of assistance for employment, figure out who they are. But they're not giving them the option. They're taking them off the street. However, once they go through that process, they will release them. And they've actually, I forget the exact number, but it's something like half of them have returned for help. So that's the most successful they've had. So if 500 they picked up on the street, but they've serviced 1,000, that means 500 of them returned. So it's pretty successful rate. For many people, homelessness is a lifestyle choice. Yeah, they've pretty much proven that here. But not giving them the choice. Look, you're on the street. You don't belong there on the street. You're a health hazard. A lot of crime is coming out of this. So you don't have an option. We're going to sweep you up. There is talk about, is there alternative placement? Can we put them out on a farm and put them to work, or various things? So there's conversations about trying to be creative of what to do with them, because it's obvious that the vast majority of them want to be on the street. Great, thanks for the shower, thanks for the food. Now I'm going to go back out and panhandle. So we'll see how it goes. I just thought it was interesting to bring you one more attempt at this. Next headline. La Milagrosa will be transformed into a specialist center. This will strengthen the health network in Armenia. This building, it's been in use, but only because it was there. It wasn't necessary. And they have this idea. I don't understand it, for whatever that's worth. Doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do. They want to take medical specialists. So it could be a heart doctor, a cancer doctor, or whatever, and make that a building for specialists. But we already kind of have that. So I'm not sure. I don't get the point exactly. And why does it all have to be in a building? If you're looking for a heart specialist, okay, you can go there, but you can go somewhere else. Having all those other specialists there at the same time, I don't know that it's necessarily a useful thing. I mean, when I went to the hospital, all the doctors I dealt with were all heart people. And at that clinic or hospital, whatever you want to call it, in other departments, they had oncologists and you name it. They're all there in that place. So I don't quite understand it, but maybe somebody does, or maybe we'll find out in the coming weeks. I tried to find more detail on it. They're really good at announcing things like, let's jump on it, announce it, but we don't really have the story. This seems to be one of them. Man, my throat's torn up. This was not in here in Quindío, but I thought I'd put it up because I'm always talking about the love of animals in Colombia. This guy, he got 2 years in prison and he killed 2 pigeons. But what he did was, this isn't a park where there's actually bird houses for pigeons, actually like formal bird houses to attract them. And one of the features of this park is people like to go there and feed the pigeons. And so you've got families there, a lot of kids, feeding the pigeons. And this guy, right in the center of the park where all this happens, chased down a pigeon, grabbed them, and they're very docile there because they get fed and people are around. And so you can pretty much go up and pick them up. So he picked one up and bit its head off. And then he grabbed another one and did the same thing. And of course, you had some kids that were kind of horrified, and the police were like most parks, not far away, and they ran over and grabbed him. And the judge gave him 2 years in prison. Nothing in the story as to why he did that. It would seem like that would be stupid enough to qualify him for some sort of mental issue. I'm not sure prison is a place he should go, but weird story. Just thought I would tell you about it. And this one's kind of cool. This last one I got today. Well, I try to croak through our main topic. Damn, I don't know where my voice is. Tourist helicopters will arrive in Quindío to fly over the coffee cultural landscape. Now, this is kind of awesome. Now, I don't know if they're just showing a random helicopter or if that's one that they're going to be using. I'm assuming that they may be picking up a few surplus helicopters from the USA because the military is putting the Blackhawks to the side, but I'm not sure. I tried to find out, couldn't find out. That should let them know some people choose that for their life. They're content with it, don't have plans to change. Good to hear. Some accepted help. Must be a fan of Ozzy Osbourne. Wasn't that a bat? Or did it ever really happen? I don't know. What the heck? That is strange. Yeah, it's pretty bizarre, which is why I brought it to you. So this helicopter thing, they're going to be doing tours around Quindío with this helicopter. And the interesting thing is, if you recall, and there's a number of people that live here that are aware of it, but that new building opened end of last year, I think, Primavera, which is right next to the hospital, the North Public Hospital, San Juan. That building, it's the only heliport. It's the only heliport in Armenia. It's on top of that building. It's a new building, and they build it with that in mind. And it's right near the hospital. Well, it's right across the street from the hospital. So they're going to be doing tours, but they're also going to be on call for air mercy flights, helicopter, air emergency, whatever you want to call it. So I'm a little confused. This was yet another story that didn't have a lot of detail to it. Couldn't really find anything. But it's pretty interesting. That whole building, I've got to go visit that building because there's a lot of things that are intriguing about what's going on with that building. Seems like a pretty awesome place to live, maybe, because all the different activities that seem to be coming out of there. Primavera building looks awesome. Yeah, it looks gorgeous from the pictures. I haven't seen it. I haven't gone there. Maybe I need to make a plan for that. Don't need a voice for that. Okay. Any questions, comments before we get to our topic? I was there. Nice. Little jealous. All right. So today I'm going to talk about two people, both Colombia. Interesting enough, both born in 1978. And both are running for president of this country on May 31st. Now, all the Spanish words that I'm going to have to say, I'm probably going to butcher, especially the Italian Spanish one. Paloma Valencia, she was born January 19th in Popayan, which I found a little interesting because that's in Cauca, and Popayan is mostly left alone, but they're right on the edge of one of the most violent areas of the country. And then we have Abelardo de la Asprilla. I'm sure I butchered his name. He was born July 31st in Bogota, so they're 6 months apart. And they're both on the, I guess you'd say on the right or conservative, and they're both promising to undo the work of Petro. They're both calling themselves the answer to what comes next. And they got walking down there, they got there by walking down two completely different roads. So first, Paloma. Paloma Valencia's last name is older than the country of Colombia. The Valencias came from Spain. In colonial Popayan, they ran the mint. You know, money mint, one of the most influential mints in the Spanish Empire. The family had mines. The family had enslaved people working those mines. After Colombian independence, they became one of the most powerful voices in the country against the abolition of slavery. They held that position all the way to the Civil War of 1851. Did you know that Colombia had a civil war about slavery? Well, they lost that war, but they didn't really lose much else. The political resume in her family runs 5 generations. Great-grandfather, Guillermo, a famous Colombian poet, conservative candidate for president. Grandfather, Guillermo Leon, president of Colombia from 1962 to 1966. Father, Ignacio Valencia Lopez, 16 years in Congress. And that's just her father's side. Her mother's family, La Sernas, they didn't run in politics, but they were a source of ideas for Colombia. Her maternal grandfather, Mario, founded the University of the Andes, the most prestigious private university in the country. Her second cousin, Paulo, ran the news Caracol and RCN, the largest television radio networks in Colombia. Did I pronounce that right, Caracol? She studied at the University of Andes, the university her grandfather built, and later returned to teach there. In her 30s, she went to New York University, earned a master's degree in creative writing. So she speaks decent English, which is actually pretty unusual for politicians in Colombia. She married a doctor named Tomas Rodriguez Barraquer. The Barraquer family runs one of the most famous eye surgery clinics in the world, founded by his Spanish grandfather 100 years ago. She married into a dynasty almost as old as her own. She has one child. When she first ran for president in 2018, the child was an infant. She said at the time she was running reluctantly because her country needed her. Last December, she won the Democratic Center primary. That's, if you remember, Alvaro Uribe, who was president for a number of years. Same party. She's now their official candidate. She has said in her own words, I am Uribista, and I will die. Uribista. Words. When you watch her in a debate, she's composed, her sentences are complete. She has a manner of a woman who has never in 48 years been in a room where she was not completely composed and belonged there. That's Paloma Valencia. Rigo. We'll get to part 2 in a second. Helicopter surely has to be a Robinson chopper, not a Black Hawk. Could be, I don't know. They would have to charge $1,000 per person for, that's a good point. They're very expensive to operate. Yeah, a very good point. Didn't even think about that. Even if the chopper was donated, that's absolutely 100% right. Yeah, okay. I feel kind of stupid because of all people, I should have known that. I mean, I kind of did. I just didn't think about it. And Primera Life building are apartments that are for lease only, and they're very small. 90 meters is the largest available. 90 meters is pretty awesome. I mean, not for you. You live in a mansion, but my place is I think it's 78 square meters. 3 bedroom, 2 bath, pretty good sized rooms. So 90 would be good. But yeah, I can imagine what like a 1 and 2 bedroom probably are. Okay, let's get to part 2. The Italian Colombian, Abelardo. So let's talk about the other one, Abelardo de la Espriella. I feel so bad for butchering the name. But he was born in Bogota. His parents moved north to Monteria. We've talked about that place quite a bit. When he was 2 years old. That's where it's hot, flat, but it's also cattle country. His father was a small town politician. He was a magistrate, the local judge, and a notary who ran for governor of Cordoba in 1997 and lost. The family has Italian ancestry, as I mentioned, and he holds dual citizenship. He came back to Bogota for law school at the Sergio Arboleda University, private, conservative. I'm dying here. In 2002, at age 24, he founded a law firm with his own name on the door. Here is where his life starts to look very different from hers. He took on clients that make a Colombian lawyer famous and maybe even infamous. David Murcia Guzman, founder of the largest Ponzi scheme in the history of Colombia, who got 30 years, client. The AUC, the largest right-wing paramilitary organization in the country. His foundation, FIPAS, allegedly received 1.3 billion pesos from them during the peace talks. The investigation into them was dropped in 2009. Dania Lodonio Suarez, the Colombian woman at the center of the 2012 Cartagena scandal with the United States Secret Service, and Alex Saab, later indicted in the United States as a financial bagman for Nicolas Maduro. Between 2008 and 2019, he was a complainant in 109 defamation cases against journalists, and most of those were dismissed. The Colombian Foundation for Press Freedom calls it judicial harassment. He calls himself the Tiger. He has nearly 1 million followers on Instagram. He's famous for his image of cigars, glass of wine, surrounded by nice art and tailored suits. He wrote a bestseller called Amores Criminales, Criminal Loves, For most of his public life, he described himself as an atheist. A few weeks before he launched his campaign, he announced he's now a devout Christian. Now, this may sound like a biased report. I think he'd probably make a great president, and it's not. This is just the truth. This is just the things I found about him. Last July, in a radio interview, he said leftists in Colombia are enemies, not political opponents. He used the Spanish word destripar, to disembowel, to describe what he would do to them. A left-wing lawyer sued him for glorification of genocide. That lawsuit's still going. He's promised that if he becomes president, he'll pull Colombia out of the United Nations, the Organization of American States, and the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. He gives speeches behind bulletproof glass because he's very divisive. He calls himself an outsider. He says he will be Colombia's Cyrus the Great. So that's Abelardo. Two people born the same year, both running for president, both calling themselves the answer to Gustavo Petro. She inherited her power. He built his. She's the heir and he's the showman. They're both Uribistas. But Alvaro Uribe has only publicly backed her. When a reporter asked him recently about Abelardo, Uribe said, "No, I do not want to make references to that. My duty is to talk about Paloma Valencia and work intensely because she's supported by his party." That's about the closest the former president of Colombia ever gets to saying the second candidate doesn't exist. The establishment wants Paloma. Grassroots wants Abelardo. Grassroots, when we say grassroots, we're talking about if you're not rich, it's likely, and if you're not rich and you're not socialist, you're probably looking for Abelardo. Because people are fed up with so many things happening, in particular, how crime in the general view, you'll see it on social media, crime has been not only ignored but nurtured. And they're looking for something to be done. If you remember last week when I showed you that video of the guy coming out of the Bolo Club, and everybody pouncing on him, even though he had all those police escorts, and they're trying to give him a beat down. That's a feeling throughout Colombia about crime. So, but the polls say Abelardo will probably finish ahead of Paloma in this first round, May 31st. But I say that cautiously because polls haven't existed that long in Colombia. And there's only four main polls. I tried to narrow this, and they're kind of bouncing around. So as of today, and we're coming close to May 31st, it looks like he may have a few percent edge on her. But the same polls say that Paloma is the only conservative who beats Cepeda in a runoff on June 21st. So what happens is you got Cepeda, the Petro guy. And then you've got these two that I'm talking about today. So he's got 40-some%. And they've got over 50% between the two of them. But only one can come through May 31st. So Cepeda he'll pull the highest percentage. Whichever of these two has the higher percentage of those two will move on against Cepeda. and then there'll be a runoff June 21st. It comes pretty quick. What's 3 weeks? So they'll have 3 weeks. And during that 3 weeks, whoever wins on the conservative side has to get their current opponent to throw their votes, throw their support behind them if they want a chance to win. And there's some problems because there's been some pretty hard feelings. A lot of harsh words have passed between the two conservatives. So I don't know, we'll see. But every vote that goes to one of them doesn't go to the other. I mean, they're stealing out of the same, they're taking the votes out of the same pot. And Cepeda, he can just kind of sit back and watch it happen. He will win the first round, but not over 50%. So, in Colombia, biography is a policy. When Paloma Valencia talks about restoring tradition, she's talking about a country her family has shaped for 500 years. When Abelardo talks about being an outsider, he's talking about a man who built his fortune representing the people the Colombian justice system was designed to put in prison. For those of you watching from the United States and you're thinking about Colombia, thinking about retiring here, thinking about what happens after May 31st, you should know who these two people are. Everything you hear about Colombia for the next 4 years is going to come out of the mouth of one of them, or the mouth of the man who beats them both. So that's who's on the ballot. That's what's going on. Hopefully I kept politics out of it because, well, I have my opinions and I love to express my opinions. And I love to have conversations with people no matter what their opinions are. I know a lot of people don't like it. I mean, if I were in the US, I would be talking to anybody who want to talk about with whatever they want to talk about. I like that. I enjoy it. But people get very sensitive and delicate. And even Colombian politics, I have some Colombian viewers, and it's getting to be the same way here. It's particularly since we're on the doorstep of an election. Okay, got some comments here. Let's see. Bear with me. I have to clicking things as things are in a different place. Okay. Sounds like it's a real piece of work. Not sure he would be able to turn too much attention on himself to help the country. Well, there's been a couple rallies for him right here in Armenia. As a matter of fact, I think last week they were both here. Sometimes you have to put the masses, where is it? Sometimes you have to put the masses in front of your own personal ideas and make a decision to be good for all. I don't know what that link is. Colombia is not a middle-class country. It's a very low and mid-low economy. Well, statistics would argue with you, but it has been worsening. That is why on leftist rally, you always have fleets of buses there. They buy people to appear to have support. That's absolutely true. It's definitely true. At Abelardo's rally are true supporters who don't have to buy their supporters. His supporters appear to be very dedicated and passionate. That's also true. Abelardo is Colombia's only chance to move forward. Just got back from month's vacation outside the country. What a shock returning. And Tommy, I'll be traveling on June 1st to be in Colombia for a week. I guess I'll see the results. Yeah, it's going to be one of the two. I I think I get what you're saying, and I said, well, I was going to talk politics. I don't think Cepeda is going to win. I think the two conservatives, there's actually votes beyond them. There are other people that would never vote for Cepeda that really aren't being accounted for in the polls, and they amount to not a lot, but somewhere around 5 to 8% of the overall, and that alone would be enough to sweep the vote when it comes down to one or the other. So unless something major happens, it really looks like one of the two conservatives is very likely going to win. Now, compared to the last 4 years and the issues, if you follow it, the things, and some of us have had to deal with it directly. Some of the things you see some remnants of the issues with visas, when we deal with the exchange rate, all the things that you contend with when you're here. Either of the two that I talked about today would most likely, at least for expats, be a massive improvement. Either one would be an improvement as far as crime goes. I think with Abelardo, you would have somebody that would be more like, not Guatemala, help me here. The guy that built that super prison and grabbed every gang member off the streets and threw them in prison. Where did it? Drawing a blank. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. El Salvador. I think Abelardo would probably be more in line with that, which I think the majority of people in Colombia would like to see that. But I think Palermo has a very good understanding from the virtue of where she's from of the problems that we're having. Plus, Uribe was really, really strong against these crime groups, the FARC, et cetera, to the point where he just sent the army in to exterminate them. So either way, I think we're going to see improvements. Now, then it's just a matter of degree and what improvements. But also keep in mind that in Colombia, you can't be president for more than 4 years. So they got to hit the ground running. And whoever is president, it will be somewhat tempered by the Congress, just like Petro tried to get a whole bunch of things done that he couldn't get done, but he still had some effect, like some of the health businesses going out of business because of the tactics he was playing about not sending out reimbursements. So in 4 years, you can certainly have an effect. In that case, it was a very negative effect on the system of Colombia. But Abelardo, the things that he's talking about doing, he'll be constrained as well. And so she is treated like the queen of Colombia. I mean, look at the background, 500 years of that family, including senators and a president, and it's massive. So she'll be given more of a pass on some things, but she's also much more moderate. And I think that's maybe why, you're saying what you're saying. I think I said I would like to see Abelardo personally. I think it would be an improvement. I think it would be very energetic, fast moving. I think it would be very business friendly. I think it would be good for us, but I'd be fine with her too. I also know that he would have constraints that in El Salvador he didn't have. So that's the thing. It's how much would Abelardo be able to do? He would be able to do enough because the people of Colombia support what he wants to do, and you can't look away from that. I mean, that's just the way it is. So that's my opinion, for whatever it's worth. Cepeda's votes top out of at 39%. The rest would never vote for him. I don't know. You see, Petro got votes. On the other hand, he bought them in court now. It's in court, but there's evidence, proof. So I don't know. You don't know the things we can't see. But yeah, I hope you're right, because for another 4 years of Petro, I don't think it'd be very good. El Salvador, yes, thank you. Bukele is what Colombia needs. Be pretty awesome to me. But, again, who am I? I'm just a fat old gringo sitting in Colombia, I do study these things, but opinions are opinions. Lauren, have any of the candidates spoken on the subject of immigration you're aware of? Well, yeah, the Venezuelan issue. But when it comes to expats, there would be, with either one of the first things that would happen is they're both very friendly with the United States. She went to graduate school there. Her English is quite good. She's extremely well spoken, groomed from 500 years of that kind of aristocrat family. She's unflappable. She would be a match for anybody in the United States, whoever becomes president next time around. I think she'd be an amazing representative for Colombia. On the other hand, he's kind of a no-nonsense, very pro-business, extremely anti-crime. He knows because he's represented some of these people. So, I mean, he doesn't have blinders on when it comes to what's happening in Colombia. He's very well aware of it. And so that's one of the things that I see as a real positive, because one of the problems with politicians is they know they know what the popular opinions are, but they don't feel a lot of things, because that's one of the downsides with her, because they are an aristocratic family. They are Colombian royalty. If there is such a thing as Colombian royalty, she is it. I don't think there's anybody else in Colombia that can match her family's credentials. And that keeps a certain separation. She's never needed anything. She's never struggled with anything that I could find. And I tried to find some things, but, outside of getting an A instead of a B or something, she's lived her life as a princess. He, on the other hand, he's rubbed elbows with some of the worst in Colombia. And he would take, like any defense lawyer, he'll take on any case, despite how he may personally feel about it. And if you look at his clientele, which I named some of those, you may not know those cases, but you can look them up. They were all top of the news headlines at the time, extremely high profile. And he was right there in his immaculate suits and a cigar. And, when I mention he's a showman, it's because he's got that kind of that it factor. So it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting. We can't lose with either one. I really believe that. Better maybe by increments, possibly. Abelardo is the only person who will make Colombia worth making an investment in. Well, people, even with Petro, people have been making investments. It's part of the issue of what's been going on with the peso. Now, there are particular investments for unusual reasons, so you can't really give Petro a lot of credit for it. And the government, what do you call it? Not the Treasury, but they have similar, like in the United States, where there's a department that decides what the interest rates are going to be. And they've been very judicious in the way that they've operated, has kept the peso relatively strong. But that's all good. There were unique issues surrounding that, and things are going to be different this summer. So we'll see. Also, a strong peso isn't necessarily the best thing for Colombia, because Colombia gets a lot of its wealth from its exports. And there's a lot of competition in this world. And when the peso is strong, those exports are more expensive than maybe Ecuador, for example. So there's, nothing's ever simple. All right, that's what I got to say about it. Call me out. Call me, tell me I'm crazy. Tell me that I'm absolutely nuts. You're welcome to. When is the final selection? June 21st. So May 31st coming up, less than 2 weeks? And then there'll be a runoff June 21st. 3 weeks after this initial vote will be the runoff. So they got 3 weeks to try to set aside the acrimony that has existed to this point and throw support. The loser needs to throw their support to the conservative winner. Because if they don't, that's the only possible way Cepeda could win. Now, the polls are saying that even if that doesn't happen, what's going to happen is she's going to win. And it could be, but currently he's actually leading, but it's been back and forth. It's been up and down. People were sleeping on her for quite a while. She was running around 10% for quite a while last year. And then she just kind of boom, jumped up to 19%. And, so they're bouncing around in that area. Okay. The pinned message I have on here, that's where you can actually click on that and you can do a call-in like a radio show. So from your cell phone, for example, or whatever it is that it allows. I'm not sure. I can't do it to check it out. But from whatever that is, whether it's on your desktop or laptop or cell phone, you can actually call in. There's an initial setup that I'm told that after that, like next week after next month, you don't have to do it again. And it's a relatively quick one. And then what you can do is, instead of typing a message, you can call in and say your piece. And it's like a radio show with a live call in where we can have a conversation, and I can block you. Okay. Is that it? Last call? You're welcome to give me a hit. I'm not out pimping for comments because I got demonetized by Rumble, not because I did anything wrong, but I was short a couple comments at the end of the month. I have this criteria of 5 things I have to achieve. And the comments can't be repeat. So one person, it only counts one time that month. So you could comment every time I'm on, but it only counts for that one. And so I hit everything else, but I didn't hit that. And so they dropped me off the plan, allowed me to reapply, but basically it skips about 2 months before I get paid again. Yeah, so that wasn't fun. Thanks for this episode. Hopefully the Tiger will win. Well, I think it would be the most entertaining for sure. She will. I think she's definitely a positive thing. I wouldn't feel bad about it at all. But she will be exactly what you would expect from a very prim and proper politician. And he'll probably roll his sleeves up and get down in the mud, metaphorically speaking. Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I wasn't sure if anybody would be interested in this, or I never know. I never know what people want to hear, what they want to know about. I just know that I want to try to keep going as much and as long as I can, even with a crappy voice. All right, I guess we're going to end it here. Let me get out of that. And, oh, look, I have our dancing girl, but not today. All right, thank you very much. I will see you this next Sunday. Ciao.
Oh.